Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anyway Whatever podcast. I'm your host, Mike Fisher, and today's episode will be a movie review of the 2019 Mike Flanagan film, Dr. Sleep, based on the Stephen King novel of the same name. Today's guest is my friend Dan Snow, who is also a huge Stephen King fan, and so it was nice to sit down and talk with him about the Stephen King universe, and in particular, this movie and how it relates to the movie and the book, The Shining. We go long on this one, and we get in there pretty deep. Please feel free to comment in the comment section if you want to add to the conversation. These movie reviews always get a lot of action in the comment section, which is awesome. It's always like, if you listen to the show, I always like to learn something new or see something in a perspective that I may not have, without some outside influence. So normally when I do my show intros, if I flub them up, I usually just start over and cut that piece out. But Dan had a little laugh at me in this one, and I thought it was funny, and that people might want to hear a little bit of how the show works when it's being recorded. So I left that in because I thought it was interesting and kind of funny. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Or I should say, if Dan Snow can't laugh at you, who can Dan Snow laugh at? As always, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, like the episode, comment down below, like I said before. You can find us on all the social media platforms at Anyway Whatever Podcast. And if you listen to the podcast version, wherever it is that you find us, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. That stuff goes a long way to helping us keep making this show. And I really like making this show. So yeah, any recommendations are also super awesome. Tell your friends if you think this is something they will like. And let's see if we can't build something out of this. Anyway, I'll let you get to the episode. It's a good one. I had a good time with Dan as always. And enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Fisher, and today we're doing a movie review of the story of the movie. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Fisher, and today we are doing a review of the movie Dr. Sleep by Stephen King with my good friend Dan Snow from Burbank, California.
What's up?
What is up, Dan Snow?
Feeling good. Good. So we're going to talk about me on the full episode that will be posted at a different time from this one. Me and Dan spent a good amount of time talking about Stephen King books, stories, movies, TV shows, because we're both super fans. Yes.
And there was a thing that I was going to tell you in that episode that I'm going to tell you now, just because it's a little bragging thing, but you probably already have. I have an unopened copy of The Regulators and Desperation that have them
with the combined artwork
with the Mark Ryden combined cover artwork, and they're still in the plastic wrap.
That's good stuff.
Good stuff. Do you have those?
I have them, but they're not in plastic wrap. Come on.
Because I saw those and I was like, oh, that has Mark Ryden art. And so I just went and bought the paperbacks and just left those because they were a gift from my parents. They were like, I think it was like a Costco exclusive or something, that particular set.
That is wild. That's cool.
Or at the very minimum, that's where my parents got them. And I was like, I'm not opening those, so I still have them.
That is very smart.
I'm looking at them right now.
Oh, man.
So he wanted me to watch Dr. Sleep, which is great because it was a movie that I wanted to see. If you aren't aware, Stephen King wrote a book called The Shining. And then there was a very famous movie that came out in the late 70s, directed by Stanley Kubrick and starring Jack Nicholson. And almost every American probably has seen that or is aware of that in some way because it's such a phenomenon. So Dr. Sleep is the sequel to that book. And to begin with, like I have said before, one of the things about being a freelance
artists and illustrators. I just don't have a lot of free time to read. So I do a lot of audiobooks. So I tried to do the audiobook of this and it didn't really stick. So I was unfamiliar with the complete story. I knew up to a certain point. And so watching the movie, I was getting almost all new information. First of all, what I assume from talking to you that you liked the book and the movie.
I like them both very much.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So one of my initial issues when I was confronted with the idea of this movie was the Stanley Kubrick movie was so different from the book. I was curious if we were going to be seeing a sequel to the book or if we were going to be seeing a sequel to the movie, because that's very, very different things. And then somebody mentioned that I was going to be seeing a sequel to the movie. And so I was expecting to see a sequel to the movie, and I don't feel like that is what I saw at all.
It's kind of a combination of both and a little bit of new stuff. Yeah, it's tricky. So Dr. Sleep was directed by Mike Flanagan, who did Haunting of Hill House, and he also did Gerald's Game. He knows King. King trusts him, I feel like. They get each other. And his next one, Haunting of Bly Manor, I think just wrapped, which is going to be great.
Oh, that's another Stephen King?
No, that's just more Hill House stuff that he's doing.
Oh, okay.
So, which was great. If you haven't seen Hill House, you got to watch it.
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah, it's fantastic and super scary. So,
okay. I remember seeing that was. I remember seeing people talk about The Haunting of Hill House, and
it had a blip in the zeitgeist, so to speak. It was up there for a week where everybody was talking about it. It's good. It's scary. It's got creepy hidden ghosts in it and all that fun stuff that people like to freak out about on the internet.
All right. Okay, so just one of there were the early parts of the movie I had a hard time with was that they had to recast characters from the first movie to make appearance in the new movie. And I didn't like that very much. I didn't like that they had to recast Scatman Crothers' character, because that was an immediate break for me. Like, it broke that character for me in Dr. Sleep. And they did a very, very admirable job of casting the woman to play Wendy, the mom.
That's Alex Esso. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's very good, and
she's great.
And I'm having that thing again where I can't remember somebody's name. And the original actress from the original Shining was Shelley Duvall, right. The original hipster mom. If you watch the original Shining, all of her outfits could fit right into Greenpoint. Or what's the neighborhood in Brooklyn, the hipster neighborhood,
right,
and Silver Lake, California. She looks like every single 27-year-old woman in the hipster neighborhoods. And sorry, the casting of the woman who for that was very good, and she managed to get the speech pattern down.
Yep.
Like almost perfect. Like I was like, did they get Shelley Duvall's voice to? So that was acceptable. The Scatman Crothers character, I can't remember what's the character's name in the book. Can you remember?
Oh, I'm spacing on it too. This is all happening to us.
Keeps happening.
Right.
Anyway, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was problematic for me, and then they recast
Halloran.
Yes, Dick Halloran is the character,
right?
And then the kid Danny, they recast him, and that was fair enough. There was no options for some of this stuff.
Yeah,
and I understand that, but it did take me out right away. Like
Okay.
it took me right away. It took me out because it was just like like we were talking about with Stephen King stuff. You get familiar, in your mind with the characters, and then if they get put on the screen, it just cements them even more. So to see them being played by other people was jarring right out of the gate.
There's no other way to do that, though, right?
I understand. I understand that.
Got
I understand
it. Okay.
that. And then we're gonna get further into that down the road. Believe me, we're gonna be. So I'm looking at my notes. I keep notes on everything right here. As I watch the movies, I always keep notes so I can keep track of where I want the conversation to go. So, I think my problem with it also, and you're definitely going to disagree with this one, being that you're such a fan of Flanagan, is that it just didn't feel like a Stephen King universe to me.
Okay.
And I think that maybe I was watching like an ultra HD version of it or something, because it looked like a TV show. It didn't have any grit to it. Like, I kept trying to figure out if I was watching green screen. Like, there's a scene where the little kid's riding his trike through the hotel, and I was like, I think they green screened this. And then it would get to a part where I'd be like, nope, that's definitely not green screen. And so there was something about the crispness to the Ultra HD that pulled me out of it a little bit as well. And I think that these are little things that went a long way in keeping me from getting back into the story. I like the story, and some of the plot lines were really clever. Like I always say, like, I don't want to give up too many spoilers because I want people to actually go watch this stuff. And this is a movie I liked enough that I would recommend people go see. And if you've seen it, maybe watch it again. And feel free to comment below if you have opinions that differ to mine or even, Dan's. But there was like a little spoiler that I don't think ruins it, is that there are a group of these other people who shine, which is like they have telekinetic powers and they can see into other people's minds. I mean, if you're not familiar with the movie.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with The Shining, you're not listening to this podcast.
And not only that, but it's been
to this episode.
It's been 40 years, and that's your if you I can't spoil a 40-year-old movie for you.
Right,
I don't think unless you're like 15. If you're 15, then go watch it. But anyway, so people who The Shining is the gift of being able to see into other people's minds and conversate with them via telekinesis or whatever you want to call that. So one of the plot pieces of Dr. Sleep is that there is a group of these people who can do it, and they've banded together to be able to be like psychic vampires and keep themselves alive. And by doing that, if they take a life, the essence of the person is like the blood that a vampire sucks up. So they they concentrate, they keep, and they use people's pain and death as a way to keep themselves alive. And they're always on the hunt for people who shine, because they get a bigger rush out of that. And so there's this ragtag band of people who roam around. They roam around the globe, doing this shit. And there's a little girl who is like got the most power, and they're kind of after her. And what we get is the boy Danny from the original movie is now a grown man, and we get his development into trying to be a functioning human being, because he's got so much baggage from when he was a child. And so there's a lot of that transition between his growing into a functioning adult and then coming into contact with this young lady and trying to help her, because in the first movie, the Scatman Carruthers character, Dick, helped Danny. And so now it's his job to pay it forward to this little girl. So that's kind of the core of the story. There were some production things that also kind of like, they did that thing where like there's like a heartbeat in the background, almost like as a soundtrack a lot.
There's a lot of that. Yep.
And I kind of felt like that was a little overused. It was like a little bit overused as an easy device from the first movie. Other than that, I didn't have any. I for the life of me, Dan, I always on my cheat sheet have a list of the actors and the roles that they played, and I did not print that out. The woman who plays Rose Hat.
Rose the Hat. She's
Rose
great.
the Hat.
Yeah.
She's very attractive.
Yeah.
She was a great character. She was amazingly well acted. And the guy who plays her sidekick, the Crow.
Yep.
He's like a Native American guy. He was on Fargo, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. And I, of course, didn't write down his name, and so I don't have it. But he's really good too. The whole band of psychic vampires, they're all very good. Very, very good. Very good characters. There's like a teenage girl. She's fantastic. They're all really good. And it is a very good usage of creating a cast of characters that a bunch of different people can relate to. Young people can relate to one character. Old people can relate to, rednecks another. And I feel like that they gave a little bit more time to creating those characters into actualized characters rather than just, people in the group.
Right.
And so I thought that was effective, and it made them scarier to begin with.
Yeah. I liked how like that Rattlesnake Annie, like they took the time to sort of show how she does her stuff, and sort of like how the True Knot is like, we need that particular set of tools on our team. So I thought I thought that those scenes were really good. And I like how they kind of played those out.
Yeah. And I'm trying to go over as much positive stuff as I can, because there's a few negatives for me that were hard. I liked that. One of my favorite actors is Cliff Curtis, who is he actually comes up in a totally another conversation with another guest, and he's that guy who can kind of play any race. Like sometimes he plays a Hispanic, and sometimes he plays his natural Maori New Zealander, and right. here I'm not sure what they had him in, if he was supposed to be a Hispanic guy or what, but he is always, every time he's in a movie, even if he plays an asshole character, he's so believable and likable. Yep. And he's every bit of that here. And he is our good guy.
Yep.
And I was very disappointed with how he ended. And anytime.
You mean like what happened to him?
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that one single bit. I was actively angry at the movie for doing to him what they did.
It's not
course,
the movie.
If it's in the
not
story.
The movie's fault. Yeah.
I know. It's Stephen King's fault, and I'm mad. I have a hard time being mad at him because I love his art so much. But I was frustrated with that because it's never a good time to watch bad things happen to Cliff Curtis.
That's funny. I don't think. Yeah. Okay. That's. I don't know if that's a valid criticism of the piece.
No, it's not. That's a personal aside.
There you go.
Okay. The thing that Stanley Kubrick left out of the first movie is that the Overlook Hotel itself was a character. And in the book, it was very clear that the hotel was its own character. Right. And then the evil inhabitants were just part of that. And in the movie, it was just a hotel with evil inhabitants, as far as I was concerned. And so, that's how I always read it. And so here we go back to the Overlook Hotel, and it's all about the Overlook being the bad character. And so I appreciated that. I like that they brought that back from the book. I very much like that. And I liked that we went back to that Overlook Hotel, because it's just such a iconic piece of of movie.
It's a huge part of our culture. Like the Shining movie and the Overlook, I mean, it's such a massive thing that Flanagan had to deal with. And right. In the book Dr. Sleep, different things, and in the book of The Shining, different things happen to the hotel. So sure. Flanagan, for the second half of this movie, he's on his own reconciling Kubrick's Shining and Stephen King's Shining. Yeah. And I think he pulls it off, which I don't know how many directors pull that off. Like that, like he does it so that the story wraps up. And at the end of it, I was like, wait a minute, everything's sort of resolved. and like you're talking about The Shining, which is like the set other than The Exorcist. Like, what's a more famous horror movie? Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's
it. Those
way
are the
up
two.
there. Yeah, that's way
so
up there.
yeah.
Which brings me to the parts that were really hard for me to get around. Early on in the movie, there is a scene where Danny the adult is speaking with somebody, and it's shot in the office of the Overlook Hotel for no reason that I could discern.
Well, should we talk about what I really want to talk about?
Which is what?
Room 237, the movie. Let's go. There's 20 minutes in Room 237 about that scene in The Shining, and that's why Flanagan put that scene in this movie.
So one of the things that, as a total digression, when I asked Dan to give
connected.
me, when I asked Dan to give me a movie review, the first thing he said was Room 237, which is a documentary style movie. It's a documentary about all of these fucking theories about what is actually happening in Stanley Kubrick's making of The Shining. And I watched it some years ago, 3-4 years ago, and it made me really mad. Like, it made me mad that people had spent so much of their time on being so obstinate about something that was so clearly just made up in their own mind, and they were so adamant about it. Was weird. It was like Flat Earth to me. Watching that was like trying to watch a Flat Earth documentary.
But they have their reasons, and they
Yeah,
it's something where
does.
it's an amazing piece of art where these people have dissected a popular piece of media to the point where it's almost unrecognizable. And it's
fully unrecognizable.
Mind-numbing. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I think that ties into Flanagan throwing back to that scene where it's like, Jack Nicholson interviewing for the job, and then it's Danny 30 years, 40 years later interviewing for the same job in the same room, essentially.
Yeah, but they didn't need to. There was no reason to put him in that room in a way that was logical to the telling of the story that Flanagan was tasked with telling. So that annoyed me. I was like, why?
It is a little bit of a wink.
That?
It's a wink. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who else other than us super nerds are going to notice that?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess there's that. But I guess every time you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 more pointed back at you.
All right, I got Room 237 into the podcast.
There you go. Yeah. Well, thank you. So my other issues with the movie all directly relate to the last part of the movie, the third chapter that all takes place at the Overlook Hotel, and beginning with the fact that when I said that they annoyed me by bringing in stand-in characters in the first part of the movie, they brought in a stand-in Jack Nicholson, and I was angry.
You know who that actor is?
I don't.
You want me to say it?
Sure.
It's Elliot from E.T.
Oh my God.
How about that?
Oh. I mean, that's fine. I can't remember that kid's name. He's a really good actor, and he's
great.
Good.
He's in Haunting of Hill House, and he's awesome. Yeah.
He's been good in every other thing he's done pretty much since then. He was in a really weird movie called Spanking the Monkey that is just disturbing.
Yep.
Anyway, I feel like there was a way they could have done a deep fake on that and actually got Jack Nicholson. Like, they could have deep faked that or something. I would have felt better about it.
I don't know, man.
We're if you're replacing Shelley Duvall and Scatman Carruthers, like, okay.
Yep.
But to kind of go back a little bit to what you were talking about, it being such an iconic movie, and Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Torrance, being one of the most recognizable bad guy, scary horror movie characters in the 100 and plus some years of Hollywood.
Yep.
To recast him with fucking Elliot, like, that's a hard, jagged pill for me. You're gonna put a long fucking tail on that kite to get it to fly with me.
I think that scene is so intense, and it was completely necessary. There was no way he could have made the movie without it. You know, that's the man takes a drink, the drink takes a drink, the drink takes the man.
Yeah.
You had it. And it was, I think, in the director's cut, there's more of it, and it's better. This is me. I'm totally like, on fire for it.
Sure.
But it's like when they're, you're watching from behind him, they're doing the scene, and then you cut to him. I think it totally works. I mean, these are ghosts. These are recreations, and it was like, I think if he had attempted to do Jack Nicholson, I think it would have failed. It would have Moff Tarkined, and everybody was like, that's the Star Wars thing where it's like, wait a minute, that looks terrible. Like, I think he sort of chose the way to do it because I feel like he did it because he needed to work with these actors, so he's got people playing them. They kind of look like it, but I think he needed to be, get the performances and let these people do their jobs. And I think it totally works.
Okay. All right. I mean, that helps me feel a little bit better about it.
Oh, that scene is so good.
I was, at the time I was watching it, I was also actively aggravated by the fact that they felt the need to recreate the staircase scene.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have had a showdown in a way that wasn't a direct. I don't know. I didn't read the book,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's how it happens in the book.
It's not.
Okay, so then I can be annoyed with it and feel okay because it just felt like a cheap cash in on again one of the most intense moments in movie history, where Jack Nicholson is chasing his wife up the stairs with an axe and then chases her into a room with that axe, and I was like, I just had one of those come on man moments with it.
I could have done without that scene as well. I think that scene, and when Rose walks by and sees the elevator with the blood and then acts like she doesn't care, I think those scenes were too far. I think there were too many. I don't think you needed them, and I think that was fan service. But also remember, Warner Brothers is writing the check for the movie,
right?
So they're like, here we go.
There's always a little bit of Hollywood fucking hanky panky in the things that that happen in Hollywood. Imagine that.
Exactly.
I mean, so, I in the end, I liked it. I thought that the girl who the actress,
I think her name is Rebecca Ferguson. She Rose the Hat.
Oh, right, yeah. She was fucking amazing, and she's really
that
beautiful.
Scene where she's flying around was one of the coolest things I've seen in film in a couple years.
It was really good. And there's a scene where the young girl who she's hunting traps her.
Yep.
And that the way that she's trapped, and that whole scene was really good too. So
let me say this really quick. When there's dirty work to be done in the gross out department, Flanagan does it. Like in Gerald's Game, in that scene with Abra, with the baseball kid, like he knows, he's a great director. He knows the stuff, but when he needs to get gross and really channel the Stephen King horror, he is totally up to the task, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially that baseball kid scene. That was rough.
I'm trying to remember.
That was basically when they were, when the True Knot catches the baseball kid and they're
yeah. That was fucking gnarly.
That's rough stuff.
That was fucking gnarly. And what they did to poor Cliff Curtis.
That's so funny. You had to see that coming, though.
I did not see it coming.
And it was probably very effective.
It was very effective. It got me. I got.
Oh, man, that's great stuff.
So, for me, this is like a 10 out of 14 stars.
Not bad.
Talking to you probably pumped it up a couple stars. I was fairly annoyed when I was watching it and when I was finished watching it. But talking to you and getting kind of a different perspective, which I had a good feeling was going to happen because I knew that you had a probably deeper understanding of what was happening than I did, mainly because you'd managed to get all the way through the book and I hadn't.
But the book is good, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I
wish I had more time to read, but I
know
it's
one of his better. It's one of his better ones.
Yeah, I mean, aside from it being a little more literal than Kubrick, which was one of the things that because I read the book when I was way younger than I ought to probably have read it to be
the first book,
The Shining. I probably read that book when I was 9 or something. Well, I was probably Danny's age when I tried to read that book. And so I don't think I understood a lot of it. And then I saw the movie like directly at around the same time. And I absolutely loved both of them. And then over the course of my life, rewatching and rereading the book, I got a greater understanding of what each of them was about and what each of them, the differences between. And so it was an uphill battle for this.
Yeah, I just like to factor in.
Sure.
Yeah, I think like with Dr. Sleep, the movie, I just factor in the degree of difficulty that Flanagan tried to attempt and give him a lot of credit for it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. He gets some points. I mean, you know, he brought the axe back on the staircase, and that may be unforgivable, but you know, talking to you, you know, I feel better about it, and it may be one of those things where I try to watch it again. Ewan McGregor is a great actor.
He's so good.
And the actress who played the young girl who's the main kind of heroine in this, she was very, very good.
Very good.
Both as an actress and as a character.
They should they should remake Firestarter and let that girl be the star, because it would be awesome. Because it's kind of the same deal.
I don't have a terrible problem with Firestarter. It was definitely an exploitation of Stephen King's early work, but I mean, I'm okay with that one.
It's it's going to come around again.
It's things like Cujo where I'm like, why'd you even? I mean, it was a compelling story, but it wasn't a compelling enough story to make an entire fucking movie out of.
It's messed up is what that story is.
It is. So that wasn't one of my favorites. I know it's kind of like it was a cash in on Jaws, but and you know, to this very day, I'm sure there's people who saw it when they were young and they're still traumatized by dogs, but and for me, a lot of people would probably say Maximum Overdrive is in the terrible category, but it's probably my favorite Stephen King movie just because it's it's like a living incarnation of a cocaine habit.
It's like listening to Sabotage by Sabbath. It's just pure cocaine.
Yeah, totally. My favorite digression. My favorite thing about that song by Black Sabbath was that it was like they turned in the record and the label was like, it needs one more song. It needs a hit.
Yeah.
Get back in there and give us something. And they sat down and they wrote that song. They wrote Paranoid in like, wait, were we talking about Paranoid, right?
I'm talking about Sabotage.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Paranoid.
You're talking about the second record?
Yeah, I'm talking about Paranoid, where it was they just just bang that song out in like, you know, it was like 30 minutes. And it'd be like the song everybody knows by Black Sabbath. So my digression was completely full of shit. Anyway,
hey man, these things happen.
So yeah, me and Dan being complete Stephen King fans, you know, we have our differing opinions on things, and we have a lot of things that we agree on with stuff. But I love Maximum Overdrive. I thought that was to this day, if it's on, I'm leaving it. I'm not changing the channel. I'm watching the whole fucking thing. And I'll probably every other year I'll just watch it completely on my own. And then I saw that they remade that and they tried to make like a serious version of it. And did you know that?
I didn't know it. Didn't see it. Yeah,
and it's called
clue.
Trucks. It's named after the original.
I heard about that. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
Don't. Not because it is not good or whatever. I don't think I got all the way through it, which is rare. If I don't watch an entire movie, it's gotta be pretty fucking bad. I'm one of those people that once I'm interested, even if I don't like it, I have to finish it.
You gotta know, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I finished that one, and it was like a more faithful retelling of the story, and I was like, nope, there's
not
no
interested.
Don't take away my fucking Maximum Overdrive. You know, it was like during that whole Estevez time where he was just playing punks.
That's right.
One movie after another, like fucking what was it, Nightmares, where it was like an anthology, and he played like a punk kid who played video games, and a Repo Man where he plays a punk kid who turns into a Repo Man. A punk kid who finds himself at a gas station or something.
Sure, why not?
Working there somehow. But I actually really like that movie quite a lot. It's just ridiculous and amazing. And but yeah, Dr. Sleep, it was good. It's a C+, B- movie for me. Where do you have it?
I
higher
have
than
it.
that,
I have
assume.
it pretty high up. It's like an A. It's going to creep up on you. It's going to creep up on everybody over the next couple years. Yeah, I really liked it, and I think Flanagan's going to do great stuff, and I hope he gets to make more King stuff for sure, because he's
Yeah. You put me on some Flanagan stuff here today that I'm gonna have to check out for sure.
Cool, man.
All right. Well, Dan, thanks for coming in and thanks for recommending the movie. It's always fun to do these things, and it's even more fun when I'm not necessarily agreeing with the person.
It's
that I'm
better,
talking
totally.
to.
Yeah.
Although I do have fun just sitting and laughing with people about things that we do agree on. So,
Well, we'll be back for room 237 whenever you're ready. Let's go.
yeah. All right. Well, I mean, now we're gonna have to. If you put it out there, we're gonna have to do it.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again soon, Dan.
All right, later.
Bye.